Hello, everyone. My name is Kim Nade Amudegu, and this is my show and tell for Learning Technology and Design, course 5319. For my showcase, I'm going to walk you through some of the major assignments I created throughout the semester for my online course. My course is called Designing Effective Workplace Training and an Introduction to Adult Learning and Instructional Design. Looking back at everything together, I can really see how each assignment built on the one before it. I started with the course outcomes and overall structure, and from there, I developed the resources, multimedia assessments, and peer engagement opportunities that eventually became a complete online learning experience. So, the first assignment I want to discuss is the course outcomes and topical outline, as you can see here. This assignment really became the foundation for everything else I created. I developed 5 course outcomes focused on adult learning, Bloom's taxonomy, the ADDIE model, instructional strategies and technology, and creating engaging learning experiences for diverse learners. One thing I learned from this assignment is how important it is to establish clear learning outcomes before you begin creating activities or choosing technology. As I worked through the rest of the course, I found myself constantly going back to these outcomes and asking whether what I was creating actually supported what I wanted learners to accomplish. Professionally, this is something I will definitely continue to use. When I develop training in the future, I want to start with the desired outcome instead of immediately thinking about what activity or what technology I want to use. So we're going to move along to the next assignment, which is the reading and study resources. So in this assignment, I selected resources for each module and connected them directly to my course outcome. Some of the topics included adult learning, andragogy, Bloom's taxonomy, ADDIE, universal design for learning, assessment, the Kirkpatrick model, and you understanding by design. So, what I learned from this assignment is having a lot of resources does not necessarily make a course better. Each resource has to have a purpose. I had to think about why I was including each reading and how it would help learners achieve the course outcomes. This is something I can apply directly to workplace training. Employees already receive a lot of information, so I think it's really important to be intentional, about what we give them and make sure every resource actually supports their learning or performance. So this is just an assignment here. All right, so moving along to the next assignment, I have my audio and visual resources. So I'll scroll through them here. So for each module, I selected videos that reinforce the concepts being taught. These included, of course, the same learning designs such as Bloom's, taxonomy, ADDIE, UDL, instructional strategies, multimedia learning, assessment and feedback, the Kirkpatrick model, and understanding by design, which you will hear frequently, as these resources were mainly used throughout my course. I also had to think about accessibility. The resources I selected included closed captions or transcripts so that learners would have multiple ways to access the information. This assignment changed the way I think about multimedia and online learning. Before, I probably would have thought that adding a video automatically made a course more engaging, but that's not necessarily true. But now I understand that the video still needs to align with the learning objectives and contribute something meaningful to the learning experience. In future professional projects, I will be much more intentional about the multimedia I select, and how it supports the learner. Because it's very important, especially in a corporate environment, for employees to really be engaged in the training materials that are presented. I feel like as adults we do get, well, not even just adults, people in general get bored very easily. So it's very good to just have multimedia that aligns with the topic that they understand and can use while they are working. So the next assignment is the authentic assessment planning. This was probably one of the assignments that made me think the most like an instructional designer, because I had to move beyond simply asking what assignment can students complete. Instead, I had to think about how learners could actually demonstrate that they understood the content and they could apply it. I wanted the assessments to give learners opportunities to use what they were learning rather than simply memorize the information. I'll just go through it a little bit. Um, this was especially important because my course focuses on workplace training. One of my biggest takeaways from this assignment is that assessment should be connected to real performance whenever possible. Professionally, I can see myself using this approach when designing employee training. Instead of relying on quizzes only, I can incorporate scenarios, simulations, projects, demonstrations, and other activities that allow employees to practice the skills they will actually need on the job. So there's that. And last but definitely not least is the peer engagement and collaboration planning template. So in this assignment, it really helped me think differently about engagement in an online environment. Um, Throughout the course, I created opportunities for learners to discuss adult learning, evaluate learning objectives, explore ADDIE, examine UDL and instructional technology, provide feedback on assessments, and discuss ways to evaluate workplace training. What I liked about this assignment was that the discussions were not just included so students could say they participated. I wanted learners to exchange ideas, give meaningful feedback, and learn from each other. That is especially valuable with adult learners because everyone brings different professional and personal experiences into the workplace learning environment. In my future work, I can use these strategies to make workplace training more collaborative. Employees can learn a lot from sharing experiences, discussing realistic situations, providing peer feedback, and working together to solve problems. So, overall, creating these assignments from beginning to end gave me a much better understanding of what actually goes into designing a fully online course. My biggest takeaway is that instructional design is really about being intentional. It's not enough to have good content, interesting technology, or engaging activities. Everything needs to connect. The learning outcomes should guide the resources. The resources and activities should prepare learners for the assessments. The assessment should show whether learners achieve the outcomes, and feedback and evaluation should help us determine what needs to be improved. I also learned that um, course design is never really finished. There will always be opportunities to gather feedback, make adjustments, and improve the learning experience along the way. The knowledge and skills I gained from creating this course are things I can see myself using beyond this class, especially as I continue moving into instructional design and learning and development. I feel much more confident in my ability to make a learning need and intentionally develop an online learning experience around it. Thank you so much for taking the time to view my course showcase. I hope you enjoy seeing how my course developed through the semester. Thank you so much, and congratulations to all the graduates. Take care.